Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for a video that has probably been about a year and a half to 2 years in the making. And this is my first look at Cliffs of Dover in its new form. It's now known as IL2 Sturmovik Cliffs of Dover Blitz. This is version 4.5, the Team Fusion thingamajibby. Now, there's one thing I noticed. I went through setup. It's basically the same as before. However, some new background screenshots. In controls, if I go to my axis section, you'll notice here that when you add an axis controller, it takes the name of the controller, and these names can be quite long. Now, you can see here, it's asking me to basically manipulate the controller that I will be assigning and see how big this control box is. So I'm going to move my elevator controls now on my joystick, and you'll suddenly see that we get a very long name in here. And part of the problem with that is that the box resizes to the name of the controller. Now, there's plenty of room here if you move the box to the left, but just be careful, because this can in fact go off the screen and you can get into a situation like this. But fortunately it is fixable because you can drag the window back in. So it's not a showstopper, but it can be a little bit frustrating. You can drag those control boxes back. So the first thing I want to do here is actually take a little look at a single player mission. I will show you my video settings. Basically everything is on maximum. The epilepsy filter is off. I will be running about 120 frames per second with all of this. The engine is quite old and it can be run very nicely on modern machines. Okay, let's take a look at a single player mission. I will go with a quick mission, I think. And we'll just start off flying a Hurricane, and maybe we'll have a little... actually, no, let's go with a dogfight. No, we'll start with a Hurricane. Something basic. We'll go for, say, 8 o'clock in the morning. We'll get some light clouds going on here, and I think that'll do. We'll just jump in and we'll be over the channel. Okay, let's drop down and we'll have a little look. The sea appears, I mean, it's been a year since I played CLOD, but the sea appears to be exactly the same as I remember it, and the sea was always relatively good in CLOD actually. Engine sounds lovely at low RPM there. I just got to use the rudders here because I'm out of trim. The engine at low RPM sounds really nice. That is a nice addition. Let's see for the outside. Yeah, that low RPM sound is really good. Right about here, at about 1700 RPM. Start sounding a little bit lawnmower-y there. And then the engine noise gets a lot less. It's actually a lot quieter up at high frequencies. And that's because I think what they've done is they've just got the same audio file and they're just changing the frequency of the file as the RPM goes up and down. So there's no change in volume. And in fact, a full noise engine should actually be not only higher frequency but considerably louder than an idling engine. So that may be a limitation of the engine itself, the game engine. But anyway, the raw sound file they're using, when it's down here at low RPM, oh, that sounds nice. That's lovely. Okay. Well, there's not much we can do here. The sky looks the same as it always does. The clouds don't look any different to what they used to. The sun may be slightly changed. It's got this interesting kind of texture there, but The sun glare I always thought was very well done in Cliffs of Dover. When you look at the sun, it really does bleach everything out. One thing I noticed is that the grey out effect has been added. So it used to be just a blackout. The pilot just used to black out like a vignette effect from the edge to the centre. Now it greys out first. So let's just do a grey out. I'm just going to pull some G, and you'll notice that the pilot's colour perception disappears first. I may not be able to achieve this at such low airspeed. No. I'm going to stall. Okay, well, we've put ourselves into a nice spin there, which is always fun. Let's see if the recovery is the same. Yep. There we go, we've recovered. I may not have enough altitude here. Oh, yes, I do. Okay, let's try and get some airspeed up so we can look at this grey out. Go. Boost cutout on. Get nice and quick here. Okay, now we'll try and pull some hard G. There we go, we've greyed out. Is he going to black out? No. Wasn't able to pull enough G there to force the pilot to black out. But there you go, basically the colour just desaturates. And then if you keep going, it'll eventually force a blackout. The mirrors have returned. There you can see the mirror. And it does appear to be showing what's behind me. We'll have to have a look at that with another aircraft behind to see if it's picking those up. So let's go and have a look at some of the land textures now. We'll jump in a hurricane, and as you can see, we're over southern England. We're in fact just inside and slightly south of Dover. And it looks, I would say, better than it used to. The tree shadows are flickering. It's a very, very fast zoom in, zoom out speed. The field of view adjuster. And when we get down low here, you can see the trees looking good, actually. Trees look quite nice. Proper 3D trees. And the resolution on the landscape is relatively good. It's old though, so you can't expect super perfect modern high-res textures, but it's a bit lumpy around the edge of that road there. And the road is just flat. Oh no, it's a little bit textured. Looked a bit like it was flat grey, but one more thing that will please CLOD players is what I'm about to show you now. This will please a lot of people. Oh, okay. I was under the impression that there would be tree collision. Maybe I misinterpreted that. Let's try again. I certainly seem to have flown through those trees. Maybe I just sort of hit the branches. Let's try and go for a tree trunk. There we go. So it appears that it's the trunk of the tree itself that is the dangerous part of the tree, which actually in some respects is an improvement on what other games are doing. We're just going to fly that again because I want to just have a look at that in a bit more detail, and we'll just confirm that the tree trunks are causing the large pieces of aeroplane to rip off, and that it is not the foliage on the edge of the trees. So we'll aim for another tree here, and we'll try and just fly through the foliage. We may not get to that one. I'll try and fly between. Yeah, I'll try and just hit the top of this one here. Here we go. Just try and hit the top of it. Okay, seems we got through unscathed. Yeah. Try and hit another one. It's obviously hard with the wings sticking out the side because you can never be sure if you have touch the tree trunk with a wingtip. We'll go for about here. Yeah, we flew through that foliage, and now I'm going to aim for a trunk again. So this is actually a nice. This is actually a nicely done feature. Yep, there we go. Okay, that's actually really impressive. That is something that it doesn't seem like the competitor games are doing. With the other games, it seems that you pretty much explode whenever you hit foliage. But they've done a good job there. It's the tree trunk, which is the dangerous part, and you can skip through the edge of the tree, through the leaves and whatnot, without any real damage. Let's have a quick look at a bit of combat. Dogfight Allies advantage. We'll jump in a Spitfire because that's one of the ones I'm most familiar with flying. Take the 1A. We'll give the enemy a bunch of E1s. I don't want them flying away too quickly. A couple of wingmen for me, 6 of them. Yada, yada, yada. Just checking the realism options. You can see vulnerabilities are all on. Realistic G and torque is on. Complex engine management's on. So we should expect the aircraft, the damage model to show as well. The invulnerability is not on. We'll jump in, and I think we'll spawn in behind these 109s, and we can basically just, yeah, we're at our 12, 500 yards out. They're 500 yards away. Okay, let's go. I'll go for boost cutout on. Okay, we'll just close in. So they don't seem that keen on reacting. When zoomed out, they're not very clear. They're quite pixelated. Give him a burst. Give him a burst. Give him a burst. Give him a burst. Oh, now they're reacting. Okay, so it took the loss of 3, maybe 4 of their wingmen before they even reacted. That appears to be no change from the existing situation with look there, the AI behavior is an absolute joke still. Okay, this is one of the major problems with Cliffs of Dover as it exists, is that the AI behave really, really poorly. And if you're into single player, then it's basically a nightmare. And if you're into multiplayer where the AI plays an important role in the multiplayer environment, then it's also a nightmare. So, look, they're all just flying along still. 3 of these guys are venting from their radiators. I'm still only 300-400 yards behind this guy. He knows I'm here. He's just not reacting. Oh dear. My convergence is on default. You can see these weapons are not converging very close in at all. They're converging miles out. We'll just get up on these lead aircraft here. Okay, well, we're not going to see any real combat here because the AI is so poor. And this guy has suddenly gone defensive. See how he flies. Well, I'm on 0 throttle here. So is he, I would think. Got his radiators there. Yeah, this is a bit disappointing. More pieces go flying off him there. Oh, I think he just bailed out, did he? Not sure what that was. It's just the engine being starved of fuel for a second there due to the carburetor system. Nothing to be alarmed about. It's not a sound file error. Okay, we'll just close in on this guy. Have a little look at him. Looks like his rudder is fully over to the right, so he's either compensating for damage or his rudder has been smashed to bits. We'll put some more rounds on him. Okay, so I've run out of ammunition. And we'll see how bad this guy is. Yeah, he's quite severely damaged. He may go in here. That may be the end of him. Has he gone into an uncontrollable maneuver? Yeah, he's not getting out of that. Whoops. Is he? Yeah, that looks like the death spiral. In he goes. Okay. So there's a little bit of, well, I won't call it combat because it wasn't really combat. It was just me being given a very easy ride by some AI. There's another one up here too. Now I've been on 0 throttle for quite some time here, and I've been out of trim. Significantly out of trim. And the aircraft's starting to slow down just now. Right, we'll go take a look at a landing. We'll get ourselves... Ah, you can see the aircraft in the rear vision mirror now. That looks fantastic. That is really great. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, well done. I like that. Okay, let's try and get some airspeed again. Now, rather than put you through the misery of watching me fly all the way back inland, let's just skip to a landing. So I've got what I believe is Wilmington down here. Throttle back. And we'll set up for an approach. Those buildings just... If I zoom out, those buildings almost disappear. They just rendered in like very suddenly. And you can see the revetments on the far side of the field are just fading in now. So they haven't really done anything about the medium distance fade in. And you can also see the tree line just finishes over in the distance here. And there's just no trees beyond that point. And I've got maximum view distance turned up, so it's drawing in a very small bubble around my aeroplane. The colors look okay. I mean, it looks better than it did. There's no doubt about that. The problem is we're now living in late 2017 and early 2018, and it's very hard not to compare this to the other current titles, which we kind of have to do because it's competing in the 2018 marketplace now. Had this been released in this condition in 2013, 2014 even, you know, it would be looking very good. Okay, let's drop the gear. Got 150 miles per hour on the clock. Now, I haven't landed a aircraft in Cliffs of Dover for a very long time. Full fine pitch, 0 throttle. 140, we can drop the flaps now. There's the nose bounce. Nice and gentle, actually. Speed's coming back, 110 or so. Gear indicator shows as down, flap indicator shows as down. It's my wingman trying to follow me. He doesn't realize that I'm landing. 100. Now he can come over the fence at 85, or touch down at 85, so we can zero the throttle now. Just lift the nose, do the classic fly down. Oh, that was a bit of a bounce. Okay, and we're down. Dancing on the rudder, stick fully back. Oh, yeah, yeah. I don't have brakes bound, I don't think. B? B, okay. And that's just on... the brakes are just set on the 0 to 100. I haven't got them assigned to a axis yet. But there we go. We've brought the aeroplane basically to a halt here. And if I release the brakes, will it start rolling? No, it seems to have stopped. Is there a CHOCS key? Control C maybe? Shift C? Alt C? No, I haven't assigned a key for the chocks. Let's have a little listen to the aeroplane. I'll open the canopy. Brakes on. We'll just run up to about 1600 RPM. And it's trying to roll forward. I should probably have chocks in for this. It's not very loud. That sounds alright. It's quite throaty. And magneto's off. We'll do the old magneto trick. Fuel off as well. And there we go. We just basically turned it off the cheap, quick way. I can hear that other AI Spitfire around. It actually sounds alright too. The ambient sound is reasonable. It always has been in Clod. It's quite nice to sit here sometimes on a field and hear other aircraft flying around, but I guess that's the same with all flight sims. Very well. I want to have a quick look at intercepting a bomber formation now. That'll be the last thing we do here. So here we've got 3 Hurricanes and we'll be attacking a formation of 9 Ju-88s. Let's spawn in. There they are out in front. Coming basically head on, so we'll do a head on pass on the way through. And then we'll see how the gunners react. I think I'm going to have to go for this one here. Okay, the gunners are firing. And you can see that the bomber I hit is actually peeling away from the formation with some, what I believe is engine damage. Or I may have hit one of the crew members. I may have hit the pilot there. Now, attacking bombers from the dead 6 position should be deadly. So I should expect a hail of fire here. And I should not be able to just fly in straight on their 6. Like I'm doing now without taking a pretty serious amount of fire. There is actually a ship or 2 down there, so they may be after that for bombing. Oh, I wish this Hurricane had some speed. Let's close the radiators up. Trim it out a little. One thing I've always liked about Cliffs of Dover is the trim is really nice and low resolution, or high resolution rather. One touch on the trim just gives you a very small amount of trim adjustment, as opposed to DCS where you just touch the trim once and the nose will move about 1.5 degrees off to the left or right. In Cliffs of Dover you just touch it and you get a very, very fine adjustment of the nose. It's really pleasant. Okay, this is one of the drawbacks of flying the Hurricane, is it takes forever to catch up. Now what the hell is the AI doing here? Probably going to end up blowing my engine before I get near these guys. Okay. Going to just reduce my engine a bit and open the radiators a fraction to 50%. Okay, now there's the gunner fire coming at me from this trailing bomber on the right. You can see he's firing a little bit high. The question is, will he track onto me suddenly? We'll try a long range. And they're in the cloud. I need to fire off to his left. Oh, hello, Wingman's going in here. Oh, he's a bit wild. Look at that shooting. And he's found the bomber though, eventually. A couple of pieces fell off it. It's a very slow approach behind these bombers. Okay, we can go guns in a second. Firing underneath my wingman here. He's taking the return fire. Okay, so just need to get the gun side over to the right. There we go. He's falling out of the formation. We'll move over to his rightmost wingman here. And the rudder's really lovely and Clod. Just a light touch and you can bring the airplane right with the rudder. He's firing. Whoa, a hurricane goes whizzing by. I need to aim a bit higher and a bit left. About there. Okay, now you can see the return fire is getting much more accurate now. I'm taking hits. And my engine's been hit and I'm oiling up, which is good. So this is everything that you should not do when attacking bombers. And I'm expecting that this should happen to me here. Good, now we're really getting hammered. Now we'll just fly through the formation. See how much they can wallop me. There we go. Pilot is now bleeding. And in fact the aeroplane looks to be on fire. So it's time to bail out here. It's a little bailout animation. And some very peculiar sound problems happening there. And at the moment it's looking like the parachute is not going to open. So this may be a death for my poor pilot here, who foolishly decided to engage a J-88 formation from dead 6 with a very minimal closing speed. No, the chute has opened. But he's going to land in the drink, and I'm very doubtful he's going to get rescued all the way out here. So perhaps it would have been better to die on impact. So there we have it. Team Fusion 4.5 is out. It is, from what I can tell, a little bit better than what it was in some respects. Graphically a touch better. Sounds a bit better. Is it up to competing with the main flight sims that are showing vast improvements in 2018? I'm not so sure. It remains to be seen whether the other two will maintain their trajectory. And I suspect that if I were to put a side-by-side shot of a Spitfire flying along next to the cliffs in the Normandy area from this game, and then show the same shot of a Spitfire next to the cliffs in DCS, then the difference in the two platforms would be quite apparent very quickly. Anyway, for those who have been waiting for this for 25,000 years, I'm sure you'll be delighted. For those who have moved on, this is probably just a little reminder that the platform is out there. And for those undecideds, we shall remain undecided.